Hi, this is Eric Scherter. I'm the product manager for the newly aligned editor group, which is part of the create stage of the DevOps lifecycle here at GitLab. This group's being formed by combining the former static site editor group and the existing editor group into a single group that's focused on all of the editing experiences across GitLab. So the group's in a bit of a transition phase while we wrap up some of the work in progress before the realignment. 13.7 is going to focus mostly on that, but as we move forward, we're going to be working to more clearly define a cohesive strategy for the editing experience, both of code, like in the Web IDE and Snippets and single file editor, and of prose, whether that's in the Wiki or static site editor, or even in merge request and issue description boxes. So we're really excited about that, and more on that in the coming milestones. But for now, I want to highlight a few things related to 13.7. I've linked our planning issue in the video description. It has a link to our release board, so you can see all of the issues we intend to tackle this release. But I want to highlight just category by category a few things. The Web ID is not our primary focus for this release, but we do have a few bug fixes and UX improvements on our planning board. We want to just make sure that we're focused on cleaning those up. Similarly, there's a few UX issues and bug fixes related to the multiple file snippet work, some follow-on work that we want to wrap up related to that. And also with snippets, we're going to implement reCAPTCHA to improve security and spam protection as part of the view refactor and make sure that's nice and secure for everyone. And moving on to static site editor as a category, we will continue to work on the proposed static site editor re-architecture, albeit under a new lens now that the editor group's been consolidated. We've received some great feedback already on our proposed architecture, and we're going to be extending that proof of concept in 13.7 to see if we can actually realize some efficiencies and bring the rich text editing experience to some of the other categories even sooner than we anticipated. So very excited about that, and more on that in the coming milestones. We'll also be working on limiting the formatting changes when editing using the static site editor. Specifically, the GitLab handbook has very large pages that have mixed formats of Markdown, and when you edit those with the WYSIWYG editor, you end up with a lot of lines of code that have changed just for simple formatting consistency. What we want to do is, our MVC for this is really just to split those formatting changes into a single commit when the static site editor is loaded. We'll commit those changes if they're necessary, and then any intentional changes that the user makes, we'll put in a second commit on that merge request. So when sharing the merge request, you can isolate the intentional changes from the formatting and hopefully make it a little easier to get feedback on your changes. We're also going to revisit some of the automated pre-formatting for the GitLab handbook. That should reduce the noise there, but that's a fairly tactical and GitLab specific thing. So hopefully we can get something automated so it's not so time consuming. The group's been working really hard on improving the performance and reliability of live preview within the GitLab Web IDE, and so we're going to be wrapping up that work in 13.7. We have some work to contribute back to Code Sandbox and make sure that the Web IDE and the live preview are communicating efficiently and reliably. Similarly, we've been working on some work for the Wiki to bring the design into a more consistent experience with the editing issues and MR's page. So the design language is a little outdated on that page. We've been working to bring it up to the current standards, and so we'll wrap up that work in this milestone. GitLab Docs, the documentation website, is another area of focus for us, and we've been working over the past couple milestones to implement some changes that allow it to work offline. So there's instances of GitLab installed where there might not be an internet connection, or the connection is blocked for external URLs, so they can't load the GitLab docs. We want to include those in Omnibus, but the size of the generated documentation was 400 to 600 megabytes. And some really great work that we did in 13.6 got that package size down to about 18 megabytes, which is plenty small enough to include an omnibus. And so we're going to be working on landing that in 13.7. So moving on to navigation and settings, this initiative is still a lot of research and design going on, but we have a couple threads of work that we're going to carry over into 13.7. And the first one is the ability to remove left sidebar navigation items as you turn off features within the project context. So specifically for 13.7, we're focused on landing the work for turning off the analytics left nav item, and then we'll work on the operations left nav item. Our hope is that as we get a couple of these under our belt, we'll be able to move a little bit faster and then have a repeatable pattern for the rest of those that aren't behaving consistently with everything else. Also related to settings, one of the larger initiatives we want to do is to bring the ability to search within settings views. So if you're in your project settings and you're not quite sure which sub-menu your setting is contained, you can just search for it. We're still doing some design and solution validation here, but in 13.7 we'll be doing some technical discovery as well alongside that to make sure that we're ready to go when the design is approved. And with that, that's what we have planned for 13.7. Again, take a look at our planning release board and feel free to leave comments, questions, feedback in the issues themselves. And I will look forward to doing this again for 13.8. Thank you.